But yeah, anyways, I'll show you my slideshow. Now, you already saw like some of this. You already saw that one. That one. Okay, so this is where we stopped off. So DNA. And it's 35 things every biology student should know.
Mm-hmm. Deoxyribonucleic acid.
Yep. Alright. And for each of these, there's an MCAS question.
I hate that clock. It's ticking. And that's the one thing I hated, like, in test taking. Sometimes, like, there was this one teacher that was really cool I had that would let me go out in the hall because there was no clock.
Oh.
No ticking. I mean, is it the obvious answer?
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, it's related to DNA, so...
So cells.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know it's a picture. Yeah.
First thing yeah. And it's funny you showed that, because the last thing I watched before I went to bed last night was Matchell, and he was fighting someone, and they were saying, like, he was insignificant, and he was, like, a weakling, and trying to explain it to him, because Mash is kind of dim-witted, and he's like, so I'm like a protein shake? Because he always has protein shakes.
Oh my god. But yeah. Actually, I'll just read these. Proteins are made up of amino acids which are folded. Proteins that speed up or make chemical reactions happen in living things are known as enzymes. Whenever you see the suffix "ase" or "im," it's it's most likely an enzyme. Heat and pH can alter how enzymes work. So I guess we technically did like talk about pH in a subtle way, but
didn't really go into detail.
Yeah, no, it did just talk about enzymes. That's the closest we got. And these can change the shape of enzymes, which can help distinguish which ones do what job. Hormones are also proteins whose role is to send signals to the use of chemical messengers into the bloodstream and tissues in the human body.
Okay.
Okay, this is the whole. This is one of those.
Anglerfish.
Yeah, read all of that.
Beep boop 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 boop. Okay, this is unnecessary, especially because I already know this. Okay, still unnecessary information. Is the last paragraph what I need to know?
Probably.
Right. It's not really a sense of smell. It's not really smell or scent, technically.
This is fucking MCAS.
It's in the water. It's not scent or smell. Then that implies being carried by air.
This is an MCAS question. This is what the state sent.
Yeah, and they wonder why people are trying to get a bill passed to get rid of this shit. They can't even get. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, by scent. Alright. Mates with several males. Yeah, that's common in the animal kingdom. Yeah, okay.
Okay. And it's a pretty simple question.
I'm just stuck on the fact it says Lucifer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I noticed.
Which means morning star, fun fact.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't we just talk about how that means enzymes? Like ACE.
Oh, it's in relation to the topic, so yeah. Pretty straightforward question.
Okay. Hey. I don't know. I honestly don't.
Wait, really?
I don't.
It's D because
I know it's not this or this.
no. But it ends with ace. It'd be probably. Do you know what that is? It's
Well, I remember that it has to do with the light of the anglerfish. That's what that molecule does. If you go back.
yeah.
Yeah, the bacteria produce an organic molecule called luciferase.
Let me look this up. Yeah, enzyme. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. I remember earlier it said and things that ends in ace or ime, right? Ace or ime,
But it's not
which
A.
would make it an enzyme. Which is why I was confused because that's not one of the options.
Well, what does an enzyme closely relate to? How about
A
that?
protein, but
Yeah.
a protein, but that's not the answer, right? I mean, that's.
Well,
I mean, the
it is on the MCAS. DNA is made up of nucleic acids. DNA goes through multiple steps in order to produce proteins. It starts off with a single strand of DNA, which copies itself through DNA replication. The mRNA then is copied from the new DNA strand, which is called transcription. The mRNA gets decoded by tRNA to the process of translation, in which then leads to the collection of amino acids to finally create proteins. And my biology teacher gave me like a checklist of like every topic we went over like the whole year. And like included like the information, so I kind of put it in my own words as well, but including the vocabulary as well, the key terms. So so it's a pretty easy question if you know which letters pair to what.
It's been a long time. I know there's adenine, thymine,
Add A to T's, yeah.
AT and
Vice versa, TA, ATTA, yeah.
Yeah, ATTA and the G's and C's go together.
Yep.
A.
Yeah, A.
Sorry, I didn't start with A. I don't always start with the first one.
I was kind of getting worried because like I thought I got this wrong because it could be because some of these include U in it, so I don't know if this is a step.
U is that weird one. It's like a special one.
It's when it's with dealing with RNA. Yeah, I don't know if this I forgot what this, but this step isn't dealing with RNA, right? Like, it's messenger RNA in this case. The next one is tRNA.
Mutations.
Don't really think that means a mutation has occurred, for example.
Oh, my foot's falling asleep. Ow.
So when DNA changes disordinately, then that means it's a mutation. Then that means a mutation has occurred. For example, if G pairs with T instead of C, then that's a mutation.
Right.
The outcome of this can be negative, which can lead organisms to get diseases and malfunctions.
On the other hand, you can get blue or green eyes.
Yeah. It can also lead to positive outcomes, which can give organisms advantages to be more adapted in an environment.
Or that too.
Yeah. Like, neutral is also an option as well.
Yeah, neutral too.
And this can ultimately lead to biodiversity.
Often leads to that, yeah.
Alright.
Often biodiversity and a lot of failed species.
Yeah.
Like budding failed species, like subspecies. Which of the following describes a mutation in a parent that could change the phenotype of its future offspring? D.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that could change the phenotype.
Yeah, because I'm doing sex.
Yeah.
So. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes.
Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are multicellular.
Okay, cells that are prokaryotes don't contain a nucleus.
They're ancient. Right? They're like, you could think of them as like old cells, old world cells.
Yeah, cells that are prokaryotes don't contain a nucleus. A good way to remember is that pro means no nucleus. Archaebacteria and eubacteria are the prokaryotic kingdoms. The eukaryotes are the ones that do have a nucleus, and you can remember this by knowing that EU carries a nucleus, as well as other organelles that have a membrane. The eukaryotic kingdoms are the
protists, fungus,
protista,
yeah.
Fungi, plantae, and
yeah.
animalia.
Yeah, which is all of us, you know, except for the old fucks.
God.
You know, the simple old ones.
Oh my god.
Did you know the largest single cell is like this big?
No. That's crazy.
Yeah, look it up. Like, how big the largest single cell organism is. It's huge. It's much bigger than you'd think. Look at that.
What?
I wasn't exaggerating, was I?
I want to...
That is a single-celled green algae.
That's crazy.
That's pretty cool, huh?
Like a way to see like a cell really up
You
close
want
without
to
a
pop
microscope.
it, but you don't want to pop it because it's such a marvel of nature.
Yeah, there is cytoplasm inside, and
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so cool. It
Yeah,
makes me nerd out just thinking
yeah,
about it.
it's like a way to see a cell up close without actually needing a microscope.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I didn't know that.
What?
Oh.
Those are called cilia or whatever.
Oh.
And these have a special name too. I forget them. It depends on what kind of bacteria they are. Some of them spin like motors. Cool. This is false. Not all eukaryotes are multicellular. Like protists. Protists are unicellular. This is false. Most eukaryotes have ribosomes. This is false. Bacterial cell has both a cell membrane and a cell wall.
That is stupid.
I mean, we can see the diagram, so it's D.
Yeah. Okay, what time is it?
Giraffes. I love giraffes. Almost time for my cigarette. Giraffes. I love giraffes. Do you like giraffes? With their blue tongue and long neck. Aren't they just goofy and...
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And they're, like, peaceful animals. I love them.
Okay, the theory of evolution came from the naturalist and geologist Charles Darwin. In his From Conveying Evolution, he states that species go through adaptation over time due to changes in whatever environment they're living in.
Yep.
And there's some examples. Climate change, natural disaster, deforestation, etc. Species are classified as groups of the same living things that are fertile, able to produce offspring, babies. Yeah,
he was right about so much. There were a couple things that he wrote about in his books that he was definitely not right about, but he laid the groundwork for evolutionary biology.
Yeah, and there was like another one that also proposed like the same idea, but like different like opinion of why it happened, which is Lamarck, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And different thoughts on.
And like he said in
origins.
his like theory was that the reason why this happens because like they get to choose the traits. That's what he basically said in his theory. Like it,
which is
stupid.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, no, like
scientists often simplify it by saying like, this creature is specially designed to tear its foe apart with, like, it's not specially designed to do that. It's just that over time, the ones that had longer, sharper claws that could tear its foes apart succeeded more often. So over time, the ones with sharper claws were breeding more often. It's like Mendel and his peas breeding the best peas over and over again, to get the best peas. Like, that's like artificial selection, but it mimics natural selection.
Yeah.
Like you can apply it, like, you see the same thing in nature. Lamarck's an idiot. Like, it's literally just traits that succeed get amplified over time.
Yeah.
Like our brains.
All right. So, I'll do the last question, and you can go have your cigarette.
I don't know how you pronounce that. Adelaide? I think that's how you
Adele. Because it makes accent makes the A sound, so Adele. Adele. Adele, probably.
Anyway, penguins are well adapted. Oh, they're in Antarctica. Okay. They're adapted to the cold climate. No shit. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. They eat fish off the coast of Antarctica and build nests on land. Yeah. Average temperature in Antarctica has been increasing, which is really bad for them. Claim that if this trend continues, it may have negative effects on penguins' ability to survive. What supports their claim? Many things. But which one are you gonna pick? Oh, I skipped straight to D just to see if there was an all of the above answer. Melting ice. Okay, that would not have any noticeable effect on the salinity of the ocean. I mean, yeah, because they'd be dying. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, what? And I see something good as well, but that wouldn't happen, I don't think. That would happen anyway. It's stupid. Like...
That one, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they'd be dying. Like,
I don't...
They'd have reduced land mass to live on, for one, and for two, their skin and fur, their fur, like it's like, or like down, whatever you want to call it, it is built as like insulation.
Yeah.
Like the fat and the skin and the and whatever, it's like built like insulation. If temperatures get too high down there, and the landmass starts collectively getting smaller and they have to get closer together when it's not cold enough for them to have to huddle together anymore, that's a recipe for a disaster.
Yeah. Oh my god. Alright.
Yeah. So I liked all your pictures.
Yeah. A sneak peek for the next thing.
Order of organization. Cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, organisms. Yeah. I can give an example.
Yeah, I guess we'll just do this.
Just waiting for my skin, muscles, bodily fluids, tissues, and other body parts to get back from vacation.
What?
Collagen is found in connective tissue throughout the human body. Yes, indeed. It's made of 3 amino acid chains that are twisted around one another. That I didn't know.
I couldn't. Okay, the problem is for this one, I couldn't find. I can't find, like, a question that's directly like, where you actually like sort the order of organization. Just I couldn't find a question like that, so I just kind of picked the question that's like in relation to tissue.
Okay.
Because that's the best I can do. And I don't think my biology teacher doesn't mind that. Because as long as like somewhat related to the topic, then yeah. But this is technically like the question is a protein question, another one.
It's made up of amino acids.
Yeah, pretty obvious choice.
Hold on. This thing right here, that's like a highway, so to speak. Endoplasmic reticulum, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like a highway, but it's studded with ribosomes. Lysosomes, those are like recycling plants where like trash goes. Like stuff that needs to be recycled.
Yeah.
Yeah, Golgi bodies, Golgi apparatus. That's like FedEx, like it packages and ships stuff out to where it needs to go. Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
Yeah, it says it literally in the description.
Cytoskeleton is like the structure of the cell. Cytoplasm is like the fluid of the cell, like the
blood. Just like you remember as the blood.
Yeah.
Can we remember it?
Vesicles are pockets in the cytoplasm. They carry something.
Yeah. I want to go faster because there's a lot. But this is
Oh, talking about photosynthesis.
in plant cells, yeah.
In the chloroplasts, yeah. I remember in the chloroplasts, they're like these pancake stacks. That's where the photosynthesis really happens, in those pancakes. Green pancakes. In the chloroplasts. Yeah.
Circle of life.
Like the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Oh yeah, for this question, you had to state like 2 additions that the student should have added. Yeah, 2, yeah. And I even added extra detail. I even added arrows that the student should have added in the actual like the picture. I took it a step further by doing that.
Punnett squares. Yeah. It's for genealogy.
It's a lot of information.
But yeah, I remember.
But yeah, I did my own Punnett.
It's like dominant and recessive genes.
If it was the Mendelian one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did for this one has several parts. This is an open response question, so we had to have at least 5 of these on a slideshow. But yeah, I had to do my own Punnett square and stuff. So
Punnett squares are pretty easy.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Cellular respiration.
ATP is like energy currency.
This, I had that.
I don't fucking know. I'm a fucking donkey.
Fertilization, also a health topic as well. Because this is somewhat.
Well, yeah. The chromosomes and whatnot.
Alright.
Someone with Down syndrome has a incomplete
Yeah.
set of chromosomes.
Yep. Yep.
Mitosis and meiosis. Meiosis? Meiosis?
Meiosis.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard it pronounced meiosis.
I was confused because I was Japanese brained for a second, like with the way that would be pronounced.
But yeah, the main difference between mitosis and meiosis is that mitosis only splits once, and then mitosis splits 2 times. And then actually starts with the next steps of to finish meiosis. Yeah. Oh yeah, just another open response. Alright.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I honestly don't remember much about meiosis.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, use that. Yeah. Natural selection.
Yep, that was. Yeah. Like over time, the ones that were successful and lived the longest and bred more were the ones that could reach more food.
Yeah, and which makes them best fit for the environment.
Right. So the ones like this got bred out.
Yeah, they died.
Well, I mean, over time, yeah.
Yeah, over time, yeah.
Like over like many generations, of course. It's not something that happens like suddenly.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah.
That's why a lot of people have problems with that, like evolution. That's why they turn to religion, is because they need like an explanation that because they can't see it happening, so they don't believe it.
All right. Yep, it's a lot. Food webs.
Food webs. Yep. Some of them are extremely complex.
Oh yeah. 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 10% rule. Willy Wonka.
Yeah, no, totally different.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there can be a food chain within a food web.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a direct chain within a food web. Like a chain of the most successful to the most preyed upon. Like a chain.
Yeah.
Within a web.
Yeah.
But.
Alright, yeah. Yeah, chemical reactions. Alright.
Yep.
Roles of an ecosystem.
Producers, consumers, decomposers. Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not getting into predators and like, I mean not, okay, well, there's consumers, okay, but then there's also like secondary consumers, right?
Yeah, after primary consumers. Yeah.
Oh, right. Because like basically like there's like consumers and then there's like ones that consume consumers.
Yeah, and
then there's even a step above that, right?
Tertiary consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then beyond that, if it's bigger. I don't know what words you use for that, but yeah, like just think about 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. But yeah, and also sometimes organisms can be both a secondary and like a tertiary consumer or whatever, or a primary, or it can be multiple ones.
Depending on its relationship in the food web.
They eat different things
right
at the same time, yeah.
Depending on how varied its diet is.
Yeah.
main body systems.
I had to add a Pokemon one in there. Like,
yeah.
Alright. Alright, that was that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, photosynthesis is, I just separate it. It had to separate on the actual paper, so. Alright. Oh yeah, parents, ATCs, yeah.
Did you know plankton produce more oxygen for us than photosynthesis? Than plants?
No. That's interesting. Really interesting.
Yep.
Okay, homeostasis and
Yeah,
positive
trees and plants don't even come close. Yeah, we talked about this last time.
Yeah. Alright, symbiosis.
I've always heard of symbiosis. Symbiosis is probably right, though.
Symbiosis. Yeah, symbiosis. That's what I heard it as pronounced in class. Symbiosis.
Yeah, it's beneficial between the two. Yeah. There's symbiotic relationships, parasitic relationships, and there's one where it doesn't matter to one and it's beneficial to the other.
That's commensalism.
That one.
Yeah. And predator-prey is also another one. Competition. Mutualism. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and types of non-Mendelian inheritance. So.
By the way, an example. My first thought example for symbiosis is like the fish that clean the whales, and the whales get cleaned for free.
Yeah. But yeah, we have for non-Mendelian inheritance, we got incomplete dominant, sex-linked. There's more codominance. Polygenic ones.
Polygenic, meaning multiple types of genes.
Yep. And oh yeah, multiple alleles means there are more than two possible choices. Like example, like blood type. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Okay, types of evidence of evolution.
Well, there's two types of evolution: microevolution and macroevolution, and there's different types of evidence for both of them.
Well, in this, I included. This is what it said on the paper. I just put in my own words, kind of. There's homologous structures, embryology, molecular genetics, and fossils. That's another one. Yeah, and that's all it says in there. Yeah, there's definitely more, but yeah, grew. All right, viruses and bacteria, which are two different things.
Of course, yeah. Viruses, I mean, scientists still debate if viruses are even alive or dead or what.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're alive because they insert their they copy and insert their DNA and stuff.
Alright. Parts of the ecosystem, biotic and abiotic factors. That's what this is talking about.
Right. Okay.
Simple. And that was like the first thing I've learned in biology, literally, I think. And that was like my first ed puzzle.
Yeah, biotic and abiotic. Yeah.
Alright, and then finally, gene flow and genetic drift. Yeah. Okay. And then I add a little extra slide. That's a little motivation.
Nice.
Good luck on the biology MCAS. I was hoping, actually I was able to present this, and, everyone would be able to see that, but well, it's too late now because the MCAS already happened. So.
Oh.
Yeah, I took it last week. But I think I did good for the most part on it. I'm pretty sure I passed.
Nice. Yeah, I think you did.
And this slideshow actually helped me, like while I'm making it, like it actually helped me remember some stuff.
That's what's good about projects.
Because at first, you think that it's gonna be just a piece of ass, but it'll actually, benefit you in the long run.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I enjoyed when we got to do projects. It helped me remember things way better than just a worksheet.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, what'd you think of the slideshow I made?
It's good. I liked it.
Thank you.
Although MCAS could do better on a couple of
of course.
Things.
Because sometimes, even my biology teacher said this, there could be technically like more than one right answer, but the MCAS chooses one right answer. Like in their own opinion, because sometimes that does happen. Because they make bullshit questions sometimes.
And yeah, and like when the answer they allude to an answer, and then they don't give that answer. They give like a very specific answer, not the answer. That they alluded to.
Speaking of that, they as like data, they even also throw in like extra hard questions in there that probably a ninth grader shouldn't know. Just to get some data. I don't know. That's what my biology teacher actually said. Because they sometimes put a few in there that was extremely hard.